tuning in. Brett Hadley, an actor, and I are going to read the poetry of Prado, Lao Tzu, Tennyson, Browning, and Matthew Arnold today. Tomorrow would have been my wife's 82nd birthday. In her honor, I'm going to read Interlude from her 13th book, her last book. She wrote the last third while she was living in the villa. MPTF to her and to me too was and is Shangri-La. Harry lights a white candle in front of my breakfast. With a candle, you're never alone, he tells me. His love is always a mother as well as a lover to me. Interlude. I left the family dinner to go outside. I love my mother and father, the aunt, uncle, and cousins gathered the dinner table, but suddenly I had to get away, shivering in the early spring Nebraska weather where patches of snow still lay on the ground, trying to melt but having a hard time of it. I headed for the alley that separated our house and yard from the Saunders, directly across from us. I walked looking down, watching my step, not sure where I was headed. Then, in the middle of the alley, lifting from a muddy pile of snow, I spotted a cluster of bachelor buttons. Their blue was a vivid purple blue, surprising and beautiful in the steadily darker evening. I knelt in the snow to look at the flowers, their ruffled petals like fragile wings. Even at age 10, I understood the moment, nature's ascendance out of winter's dormancy. This was proof of God, no doubt about it. I told no one. My family and I shared a mild version of Protestant Christianity, benign enough, but our congregational church never satisfied me. Divine revelation of a common flower would have made no sense in a religion of memorized prayers, solid good works. In college, I lost my religious faith completely. Our Stone Alley had nothing to do with passing Latin literature and translation. On my small college campus, there was art though, theater, painting, music, poetry. The art seemed to me a world of soul. How to join that world? I couldn't, I thought. I had no gifts large enough to offer soul. 10 years later, I fell from my Phi Beta Kappa rationality into emotional exhaustion. What gathered as despair became my gift to the bachelor buttons. To find my own religion, I had to live within my dream life, within my true love of writing, my pull toward myth, symbology, archetypes, alchemy, prehistoric origins. I didn't find the answer, but the mystery, the sustaining mystery. Bachelor buttons are reseeding annuals, returning every spring. Once, a long time after my vision in the alley, I wrote in a poem of mine, I am returned to what I never left. The book from today is Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, and it's translated by Stephen Mitchell, who's one of the greatest translators of our time. I'm going to read a small amount from the preface by Stephen Mitchell about this book. Tao Te Ching can be translated as the Book of the Way. About Lao Tzu, its author, there is practically nothing to be said. He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551, 49, 479 BCE. All he left us is his book, the classic manual on the art of living, written in style of gem-like lucidity, radiant with humor and grace and large-heartedness and deep wisdom, one of the wonders of the world. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. The reader will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I have used the pronoun she, at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is essentially us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have, ironically, done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the book to substitute he or she or vice versa. The Tao in this translation is 81 pages, and it's numbered. Each one is numbered. And so I'm going to read 10 pages. Brett will do 10, I'll do 10, and you'll do 10. And we're going to read the first half of the book today. And then Brett will go on to read some other poems. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother, empty yet inexhaustible. It gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself. Thus, it is present for all beings. The master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself, and don't compare or compete. Everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work and step back, the only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things, giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control? This is the supreme virtue.
11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds what we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye, sounds deafen the ear, flavors numb the taste, thoughts weaken the mind, desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and to go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all form. Image without an image, subtle beyond conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it at ease with your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. Be The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can do is describe their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in an enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment, not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't recognize the source, you stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immerse in the wonder of the now, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, amazing, we did it all by ourselves. 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, fealty piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these three aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value? Avoid what others avoid. How ridiculous. Other people are excited as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about like someone without a home. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the Great Mother's breast.
21. The master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is behind, it is beyond is, and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient master said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job and then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great, the universe is great, Earth is great, man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth, earth follows the universe follows the Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans, and it is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever he wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost. However intelligent you are, it is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There's a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon itself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them except in the direst necessity, and, if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm. nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle bravely, with sorrow and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral.
32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would be a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their function should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus it is truly graced. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it, there is nothing to hear. When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard, the slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. 37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace. 38. The master doesn't try to be powerful, thus he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power, thus he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. That's the moral man. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. 39. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy. The earth becomes depleted. The equilibrium crumbles. Creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as stone. 40. Return to the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. 41. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to employ it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus 'tis said, the path into the light seems dark, the path forward seems to go back, the direct path seems long, true power seems weak, true piety, true purity seems tarnished, true steadfastness seems changeable, true clarity seems obscure, the greatest art seems unsophisticated, The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it flourishes and completes all things.
That was great, Brett. We're going to read, that will be read, the second half will be read next Friday. And now Brett's going to read some poems from the middle of the 1800s.
All right. First is Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. I picked this one because there are a few little messages and hints for us, I think, in this. Us at our time and our place in history and in life. Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It little profits that an idle king by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched and mated with an aged wife, I met and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed, and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that love me and alone, on shore and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hades vexed the dim sea. I have become a name for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself, not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am a part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch where through gleams that untraveled world whose margins fade forever and forever when I move. Oh, dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life. Life piled on life, we're all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence. Something more, bringer of new things. And violet were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself in this gray spirit, yearning and desire. Made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to survive, to find and not to yield. And then My Last Duchess by Robert Browning. This was the time in the 1400s when Italy was all up the spine of the Apennine Mountains were dukedoms, kingdoms, principalities. The rich and wealthy ruled and had control of those principalities. And they also had the power of life and death over their subjects. And this is the Duke, who has received an emissary from a count, an offer of marriage this Duke has offered, and he has the emissary with him, and he's been showing him around the castle. And he stops, and he draws the curtain. He says, "That's my last Duchess, painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive. I call that piece a wonder now. Frau Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. We'll please you. Sit and look at her. I said Frau Pandolf by design, for never read strangers like you that pictured countenance, the depth and passion of its earnest glance, but to myself they turned. Since none puts by the curtain I have drawn from you but I, it seemed as they would ask me, if they durst, how such a glance came there. So let the first thing of your turn ask thus. Sir, 'twas not her husband's presence only called that spot of joy into my Duchess' cheek. Now perhaps Frau Pandolf chanced to say her mantle o'erlaps my lady's wrist too much, or paint must never hope to reproduce the faint half-flush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough for calling up that spot of joy. She had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She liked whatever she looked on, and her looks went everywhere. How strange was all one. My favor at her breast, the dropping of the daylight in the west. The bough of cherry some officious fool broke in the orchard for her. The white mule she rode with round the terrace. Oh, and each would draw from her like the approving speech, or blush at least. She thanked men, good, but thanked somehow, I know not how, as if she ranked my gift of a 900 years old name with anybody's gift. Now who would stoop to blame this sort of trifling? Even had you skill in speech, which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such a one and say, just this or that in you disgust me. Here you miss, or there exceed the mark. And if she let herself be lessened so, nor plainly set her wits to yours, forsooth, and made excuse, e'en then would be some stooping. And I chose never to stoop. Oh, she smiled, no doubt whene'er I passed, but who passed without much the same smile? This girl, I gave commands, and then all smiles stopped together. And there she stands, as if alive. Will please you rise? We'll meet the company below then. I repeat, the Count, your master's known munificence, is ample warrant that no just pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. Though his fair daughter's self, as I avowed at starting, is my object. Someday we'll go together dancing. Come. Noticing that too, though. Taming a seahorse. Thought a rarity. Which Clausen and Smith cast it wrong to me. And then Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, gleams of light are gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only from a long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen. You hear the grinding roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand.
41, right?
Begin and cease. Then begin again. With tremulous cadence, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound of thought, hearing it by this distant neighbor northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full and the round earth's shore. She lay like the folds of a bright girdled pearl. But now I only hear its melancholy, long, withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast stretches, drear and naked shingles of the world. Our love, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie like us, like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help from pain. We are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies crash by night.
That was great, Fred. You read all those beautifully. Well, we included like 2,000 years of, in some cases, sacred poetry, early on in the Tao, and then the mid-1800s, with Tennyson and Browning and Arnold. Of all those last three poets, we know that Lord Tennyson was the poet laureate of England at the time. Browning is the one whose reputation and art has sustained itself most of all among the modern world. It was nice hearing you read all three of those plots from the Book of Tao. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And the ultimate negative thinker was Arnold, no doubt. I mean, in this poem, I don't know about anything else, but in this poem, he certainly was that's a man who's lost all hope. And without hope, where do you go? Particularly relevant in these times. You just keep going. You can't lose hope. It is still a beautiful, joyous, green place we live in.
I agree exactly. I agree completely. I like, in the Book of Tao, I like those lines where he's talking about, a warrior goes into battle with the sense of compassion for his enemy, and also he prepares himself as if he were going to a funeral, with that sense of dread that he, it's really no fun to kill people, but, the Book of Tao is really includes it all. And it's something that I enjoy reading. I read that out loud a lot to myself, just to try to understand the complexity and the depth of the world. That's all it changes.
Yes, and to get to his message of just simplicity. Yeah. Just it is what it is. Let's just move with it.
Yeah. And next Friday, Jennifer, Brett, and Corinne Conley will read the second half of the Book of Tao, and I'll read a few poems from Anna Akhmatova, one of the great early 20th century Russian poets.
I'm so excited.
All right, good. Looking forward to it.
And
all right.
I hope you guys have been hearing.
As always, we cut off again?
No, sorry, that was my fault. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Jim.
You were starting to say, Brett, as always.
No, me? You asked. That was 15 seconds ago. Therefore, it's gone from my mind.
I just wanted to say, I hope that you two have been hearing all week long how I've expressed how excited I am that this hour is dedicated to the love of language and art through language, but moreover, the interpretation and the expression of that art through true artists. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And also about the possibilities of language.
Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, my pleasure.